Hey there, does this sound familiar? Last quarter, you wanted to get a promotion, so you talked to your manager, and he said he'd like to see you do more strategic work before he would consider promotion. And you do it. You take up a strategic project, and then the next time that you bring up getting promotion, he says something like, I never said that if you did that work, I'd be interested in giving you a promotion. You must have misunderstood me. Or maybe your coworker and you are working on a presentation for a town hall meeting, and he suggests that you keep it light and fun without a lot of data so that people will be entertained because it's going to be a long meeting. And you do that. But when you get to the town hall meeting, you notice that he has a deck full of data and information and charts that make it look like you just didn't understand the assignment at all. And when you confront him, he says he never ever suggested that you do such lightweight work, and you're mad. If these scenarios seem familiar to you, then, my friend, you may have been gaslighted. Now, what is gaslighting? Gaslighting is one of those toxic tactics that coworkers who are bullies sometimes use to get you to do their bidding or to influence you or to make you feel uncertain. Gaslighting is psychological abuse, and it's when someone, whether it's your boss or a coworker, manipulates you into questioning your reality, your perceptions, into questioning your memory, and it makes you feel uncertain, anxious, sometimes depressed. And it generally happens over a long period of time. The purpose of gaslighting is so that person now can gain an advantage over you. Um, and it's really just awful to feel like you're not remembering something or you're uncertain or that you can't trust yourself at work. There are four different types of gaslighting. So I want to make sure we go over the four types so you're going to be able to recognize it if it happens to you. First, there's countering, and that's when someone's like, I don't remember that. You must have been like out of it that day. That I don't remember that. I don't know what you were thinking, but that's not what happened. Are you sure that happened? And ask you those kinds of questions. Or maybe they're going to be withholding, and that involves someone pretending like they don't understand what you're doing. So they're saying like, what are you talking about? I don't know anything about that. I never said that. You must have misunderstood the situation. Really trying to make you feel like you're bringing up something that didn't really happen in reality. Then there's trivializing. That's a technique where the person says, well, you know what? You're just too sensitive. Or you always get upset about these kinds of things and it's nothing. And it's made to make you feel like your feelings are not important or they're not real. And then there's just flat out denial. That never happened. And they refuse to take accountability for any of their actions. Experiencing gaslighting is hard. It's hard to be with someone who won't tell the truth about something that happened and may make you feel like you're anxious or insecure. And really, it can be hard for you in the workplace to feel like you know what you're doing and that you're competent when someone's constantly questioning your abilities, your expertise, your memory. Now, don't feel bad if you didn't immediately recognize that someone was trying to gaslight you. And that's because you're probably not the kind of person who tries to manipulate others. And so it wouldn't occur to you that someone will be trying to manipulate you. But you do want to sort of pay attention to what's going on in the workplace so that you can know whether or not someone is trying to manipulate you using gaslighting. Why do people gaslight? Well, some people learn through their life that if they gaslight and make somebody else unsure, they can gain an advantage or reduce a threat to themselves by gaslighting. So it's really not about you, it's about that other person and the fact that their personal development journey somehow didn't developed. They haven't grown enough to know that using these kinds of tactics is immature and really doesn't work for them in the end, because when you're gaslighting other people, people will see that and learn that you're an untrustworthy, unreliable kind of person in the workplace. So, what can you do about all of this? Because it can be really frustrating. So, I want to give you some tips. First, be observant. Pay attention when people are talking to you, what they say, when they contradict themselves. You might even want to begin to start taking notes if you've had a gaslighting experience with someone and they've told you that you have a bad memory. You might just say, well, I'm just going to jot a note down about the date, the time, and what we discussed. So you have a written record of it. And the next time they say that didn't happen, you can just pull out your note and say, yeah, it did happen, right? You want to be able to talk to a trusted friend in the workplace, maybe somebody who's a colleague who often interacts with you and the other person, and ask them if they could, stay alert and notice if they see anything different or about the way this person is interacting with you, or whether or not they notice the gaslighting that's going on. And that's a way for you to sort of get reassurance that you're not losing your mind, that it is actually happening, and that person is trying to make you feel insecure in the workplace. Now, the last technique is something called gray rocking. And what it is a technique that tries to divert or change the toxic behavior by just ignoring it like it never happened. So when someone says, hey, you're too sensitive, you don't have to respond to that comment. You can just keep going in the conversation like it never happened. A little reverse gaslighting, if you will. Now, should you go to HR? Well, that is a question I get asked a lot as an ombud. I will say you need to think carefully about going to HR, and here's why. Most companies do not have policies against workplace bullying or workplace abuse that HR is going to be able to look to for guidance on how to handle the situation. Sometimes when there's not a policy in place, the HR person might not want to get involved in a situation where it's a he said, she said kind of thing. And sometimes by raising that complaint about gaslighting, it causes the HR person to question you and might put you in a situation where they don't necessarily believe you. So what you might do first is go to your manager and let that person know that you're having some issues with a colleague, and that you feel like you're not communicating well, and you can give them some examples so that the next time it happens, you can go back to that person. If it is your manager who's doing the gaslighting, I suggest using the notes technique, taking notes, documenting things so that you have a running list that you can share with HR if it ever gets to the point where you need to be able to prove what's been going on in the conversations. Now, if you want more help in thinking about how to deal with a gaslighting situation, I'd be more than happy to help you and be your sounding board and think through things. Just reach out to me on my website, buzzology.com, or shoot me a DM on LinkedIn. This is one of the videos that we're going to be doing in a series called Toxic Tactics at Work. So stay tuned for the next video. Thanks for joining me, and feel free to share this with a friend or colleague who you think can benefit from this. This is Dina Eisenberg signing off.